This is from Rhonda Shane, by the way, a frequent contributor to the program.
From Up All Night? That was Rhonda Shear.
That was Rhonda Shear. No, completely different. This is Rhonda Shane. You know the drill. It's Rhonda Shane.
I actually didn't know the drill. I thought it was Rhonda.
No, it's Rhonda Shane.
I thought it was Rhonda Shane.
No, I just clearly said Rhonda Shane.
The illegitimate daughter of Bobby Shane, Rhonda Shane.
Well, and Ron would be extremely, I'm sure, thrilled if he was the illegitimate offspring of Bobby Shane. But nevertheless, and this is a topic we might need to discuss with some seriousness. So put your big boy pants on there, fella, because he makes a good point here. And I haven't seen anybody else bring this particular thing. And maybe I've missed it because I don't pay a lot of attention to what other people say. But Rhonda says, Jim and Brian, and he even includes you in this. You guys covered Adam Page's random heel turn on the last Experience, but didn't really get into the content of what Adam Page said, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on my theory. And that's not the theory on Raw. Remember, Page just... was it last week now, or it wasn't the last Wednesday night, that was a few days ago, but about a week and a half ago, where he just came out and just decided to become a completely different person. Fuck you, CM Punk. I'm going to embarrass you. You're a piece of shit. And fuck you, right? But Rhonda brings up something else as he continues. Why would you have your babyface champion, Adam Page, call CM Punk's matches, quote, masturbatory Bret Hart tributes on your national television show? One of the best parts of this fledgling promotion is CM Punk's matches. And now you want to plant the seed that they're a self-indulgent karaoke version of pro wrestling. Why would you steer the audience's attention to this when Punk is your top face? Who benefits from calling CM Punk's matches Bret Hart jerk-off sessions? Clearly not AEW. Where did this thought actually come from? Who was circulating the idea that CM Punk's matches are masturbatory in nature, and how did it get in Adam Page's ear? As I thought about those questions, it slowly occurred to me. He got that line from those no-good young bucks. They're the ones that would be jealous of losing their exposure to CM Punk and would stand to benefit by turning fans on him. They're Adam Page's buddies. Their Twitter is full of quote-unquote witty one-liners like this. They'd be the ones that would benefit from calling CM Punk's Bret Hart sequences, and by extension, that Dax versus Cash match last week, masturbatory, because a certain segment of the audience, i.e. us, appreciates the hell out of classic ring psychology, and it makes them look bad and feel bad. So he closes by saying, fuck Adam Page for saying it. Fuck the Young Bucks for planting it in his head as something to say, if indeed that was the case. And fuck Tony Khan for not handing this limp dink, he's called him a limp dink a script instead of letting him take a shit on the company, their top draw, and their product on national TV. Cordially yours, Rhonda Shane. So that's a good provocative thought, Brian. Is this Adam Page's material, or is this somebody planting something in his ear? And why would you want to, if you were running a business and promoting a match, say that about your opponent?
Actually, it's a great email from Rhonda there. I think there's a few different things. One, the overall theme, and it's not exclusive to Adam Page. Jim Ross is someone who's guilty of this. Various people where things are said on the air that if you're trying to portray professional wrestling as legitimate, make no sense that you would say these things or certain terms.
You're talking about the Bret Hart turnbuckle from this past Wednesday, aren't you, JR?
Same thing, like I said, and that's not the only time, but it all happened in the same week. So we can compare the comments. Same thing. What's the point of the comment? Who's that comment for? Who's it to? And what's the point? If Bill Watts was there, what would Bill Watts have said to Jim Ross? I'll ask you that.
Well, and I guess we first should say, because I guess now we're expecting some segment of the population to read our minds, the Jim Ross comment that we're talking about is the other night on AEW when it was Dax, right?
I believe
Dax
so,
took
yeah.
the hard butt. When Dax took a hard forward buckle, chest first, into the turnbuckles, he was shot off by his opponent, of course. And JR made comments about, well, shades of Bret Hart, and I've never seen anybody do it like Bret Hart did, where the force that he would hit the buckle. He's taking an offensive move from the other guy. It shouldn't be up to Bret Hart. It shouldn't be up to Dax. It shouldn't be up to the person hitting the turnbuckle, how hard they hit it. That's what you're saying, Brian, what I'm saying, and what everybody is so accustomed to, comfortable with, giving up on the fact that we're the only fans that modern wrestling is talking to now is the people that are with the program. And there's, as we can see, damn few of those. And we have just quit making sense in the context of what the program is supposed to be, while speaking to and trying to appeal to the only ones left to watch it, which are the ones that know what the fuck that everybody's talking about, but it doesn't make any sense. If Bret Hart was the one throwing the fucking guy in the turnbuckle, and he hits, then it should remind you of Bret Hart. Boy, nobody threw a guy in a turnbuckle as hard as Bret Hart. But if you're saying nobody was thrown into the turnbuckle as hard as Bret Hart, then you've just basically told everybody he was doing it on purpose to himself. Brian, have I articulated why this makes not a goddamn lick of sense in the world to say?
So when Adam Page comes out there and calls CM Punk, or says that CM Punk's wrestling in a masturbatory Bret Hart tribute kind of way, what thought does that put into the head of the viewer at home? What thought is it supposed to put into their head?
Well, it to the viewers that unfortunately, as I mentioned, we're talking to, it puts in their heads that CM Punk is just copying another guy, copying Bret Hart, that he's not his own guy, that he's just out there doing fake shit in tribute to a guy he's a mark for. But here's the problem. The problem with that is Bret Hart didn't invent this shit. Bret Hart did it in high-profile matches. Bret Hart may have done the chest into the turnbuckle fucking better than anybody. He wasn't the first person to do it. He wasn't the first person to mat wrestle. He wasn't the first person to do certain high spots or have matches that made sense and looked halfway legitimate. But, and that's not knocking Bret Hart. But the point is, if when he had done it, everybody said, oh, goddamn, you know why Buddy Rogers was almost as good as Bret Hart or whatever the fuck. It doesn't make any sense either when you're telling the people that they're working. So it cheapens the whole thing, and it makes it look like that, because there's enough guys out there right now that are doing masturbatory tributes to their favorite wrestlers on the end of. Go ahead.
Every Young Bucks match is a masturbatory tribute to the Young Bucks.
Well, yeah, but I mean, on the indies and the outlaws, mud shows and etc., everybody's doing shit as Rip Rogers calls it, as seen on TV. Whether it makes any sense or not, if somebody on TV does it, guys think that it's right, and they start doing more of it, and then everybody's fucking doing it. And that's why we've ended up with a lot of this shit. But the point is, to be quite honest, when Punk is applying the standard classic wrestling psychology to his matches, make the shit mean something, makes people care about it, and make it look halfway, your conflict and or your offense look halfway legitimate, and do some cool shit that nobody else does these days because they're too busy jumping off the roof. And people are reacting to it as, yeah, because Punk's over. He's a lot more over than Adam fucking Page is. Let's face it, that's been a disaster, which is why we speculated, okay, did they just throw up their hands and say, switch this bland, boring little bitch heel? But it just happened. He's blurted out like he had Tourette's in one night. And then this is what he comes up with. Or somebody comes up with it for him. It's Marx talking to Marx. And everybody's falling into. You asked what Bill Watts would have said. Bill Watts would have fined everybody involved. But if Bill Watts had been the announcer and Dax took that hard buckle into the turnbuckle, and Jim Ross learned from Bill Watts, but he's been around these people for so long, he's in the fucking bubble with them. Watts would have been talking about the violence and the velocity and the fucking strength and the power that Dax's opponent used to fucking propel him into the turnbuckle and how bad it probably hurt Dax, which is the point of Dax doing that, because it ain't comfortable. People are supposed to think it hurts. So he's running into that thing at 70 miles an hour to make his opponent look like Superman and make it look like that this is a punishing thing that hurts. And if everybody, including the announcer, tells him, yeah, he just did that on purpose, well, then that kind of negates what he's trying to cave his sternum in for, doesn't it?
It completely negates it. It's saying, hey, look at this guy get hurt. It reminds me of someone else who used to get hurt. I mean, the whole point of it is stupid. And I think Jim Ross, unfortunately, because of the environment he's in, sometimes goes into some of the things he would say to you backstage as opposed to what he should be saying on the mic or not.
Yes, because when you're around those people, and they all almost think that way now, and the veterans that are there, I won't paint everybody with the same brush, but a lot of veterans that get into these environments, they somehow come out with I got to change with the kids. Instead of trying to teach the kids what the fuck they're doing wrong. Oh, it's a new day, it's a different day, or just give me my check, or I'm making so much money I'm not going to make waves or whatever. But a lot of it is just being and interacting with the younger group of wrestling talent and personalities these days. Even guys who would know get in the habit of speaking that way or doing these things. It goes by you. It just, when I'm sure when one of these producers, just hold that thought, when one of these producers hears, oh yeah, I'm going to superplex him, but then we're going to roll through and I'm going to pick him up and give him the Falcon Arrow. But when we land, he's going to hook my fucking head with his legs and fart in my face. Then the veteran just go, oh, wow, that's a different way of doing things. Instead of, stop at the superplex, you idiot. You both should be fucking groveling. So it just goes by him. What were you going to say?
To the bigger point from or the second point from the question earlier, the motive behind it, all we could say is this. Here's what we could say that can't be denied. CM Punk came into a company where the Young Bucks were big shots. He moves more merch than they do. He moves, and when I say they do, them and their entire camp moves more merch than they do, including
now, Cutlet is a merchandise fucking maven, boy, I'll tell you.
And remember, the last time there was some kind of flippant remark was when he went off on Jim Ross on Twitter. He doesn't do that unless he has the Young Bucks backing him up on that. And CM Punk comes in there. His work is critically acclaimed. Even people that like the Young Bucks stuff are saying, wow, his stuff's great. And he doesn't have to do as much stupid shit, and he still gets the big pops. He's over every night. He actually moves the numbers. Everything they can't do, he's doing. On top of making more money than all of them, too. I can understand some of the resentment, and at the same time, and I've been saying it for a little while, the Young Bucks and their camp have never been cooler than ever before. Of course, Omega's not there, but the Young Bucks have completely cooled off. They had go-away heat, and they've done nothing in the last several weeks. The only thing they really have left is the Hardys match, and then a third match with FTR. Then you're going to really have to be creative to get people to really care about them again, or just throw them out there to do a bunch of tumble salts and flips until people pop at the tumble salts and flips.
Tumble salts!
But I think there is resentment because CM Punk has come in there, and he's not just making more money, he's not just moving numbers, he's not just moving merch, he's also doing better stuff than everyone, and everyone knows it, and it's recognized by everyone.
Well, there you have it. And meanwhile, the other pudding has cooled off. You got the hot pudding and the cold pudding.